Welcome back to Guru Chronicles. Your host, your boy, sometimes your uncle, at times I might be like a brother, Soul Guru. I hope you enjoyed the first video, my initial kickoff video, where we were having the discussion about purpose versus existing. So I hope that was able to help you this past week. Thank you guys for tuning in. My subscribers are slowly growing. Actually, not slowly for me, excitingly growing. So I'm very happy about that. I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining the board and coming along with this journey. So, midweek, want to hit you with a topic I think is important, which is breaking the chains. And what I mean by chains, you know, we see chains in movies and pictures and things like that. Usually when you think of a huge chain, you think, I think of an anchor. I think of how strong a chain has to be to hold an anchor down when people are incarcerated, or to hold someone back, to restrain something, to hold something steady. And so my question to you is, what are your chains that are keeping you from moving forward in life, moving you to that next destination of what you want to do? Chains come in a variety of ways, but in a lot of cases, they're developed from our past, from our upbringing, a situation, something maybe very dramatic happened at home when you were little. And so the way you were treated by siblings, your parents could have been addicts. You may have experienced neglect, foster care, feeling rejected, fear. Fear can be a chain. It keeps you immobilized. Family. The expectation of family, when it's overbearing and they want to control you and keep you in a sometimes unhealthy traditional way of where we've always done this, that can hold you back. And so I want to address breaking those chains. And so one of the chains that I had to break in my life that I just want to testify about is the chain of insecurity. The chain of insecurity. Also the chain of overcompensating, and another chain was people pleasing. Always trying to make sure everybody else is okay, or doing things that's okay with everyone else and not me. And so what ended up happening is that ended up affecting my health. I ended up getting high blood pressure and dealing with that for a very long time. Dealt with high blood pressure for over 10 years. And that's very heavy in the black community. Other communities have it, but it's very heavy in our community. And so I learned that I internalized stress a lot, and that's something you have to explore yourself and be honest with yourself, and you need to come to grips with, what is my chain? What is my chain? What is holding me back? What is keeping me from catapulting and advancing and excelling to the next area of my life? And so I was insecure. I was smart and I studied, but I felt that it wasn't enough because I've met other people that I felt were smarter than me. And that's just mind play. I had to deal with that, and I had to recognize that. Then the other one was people pleasing. By me being the youngest of 5 siblings, I got a lot of instruction. I got a lot of instruction on top of what my parents were giving me. And so I always felt like, to a degree, I was in my brother's shadow sometimes. And it's no fault of theirs. But in an unhealthy sense, I developed a chain of that, and that held me back. And then most importantly, with the insecurity, just how Joe felt about himself. That was a chain for me. Because of what I've heard about certain things with men and how we treated women and everything, and from a lot of women of the family, women I've met and things like that, and just certain things that could have been done differently in coming up, I wanted to create this perfect guy. I created this false image of a guy I was trying to live up to that I was never going to do it. And I failed. I failed constantly. That became a chain. It kept Joe Briscoe from being who Joe Briscoe should be. I wasn't a guru at that time. I was really going through a lot and really didn't feel good a lot. Again, on the outside, nice shell, everything looks right. But boy, having a hard time internally. And that can take its toll on you with your soul. It took its toll on me mentally, how I thought about myself, on my emotions with the insecurity, and going through bouts of depression. And it definitely affected my mind, my will, and just my willingness to want to do things, to really progress and do the things that I felt that I had the skill sets to do. So what I did to break these chains, and what we're going to do to hopefully break your chain, is I had to recognize it. I had to recognize that this is an issue. This is a problem. So I had to say it. I had to announce. I had to confess. Okay, the first thing you have to do is you have to confess what the fault is. Confession is a way of recognizing I have a problem with insecurity and I need to deal with that. You don't say, well, I have a problem there, and then you leave it on the shelf. No, you take it off the shelf and you deal with it. I had to put the work in. Okay, so I had to put the work in that. So I had to recognize first. And then the next thing I did was I wrote it down. The same way when you do a goal, like when you're trying to lose weight, or you may want to get this job and you write down what you want to get that car or that house, you write down the specifics of what you want. Well, I wrote down so I can have authority over that trait that was bothering me, over that chain that was holding me back. So I wrote that down. So once I did that and wrote it down, you go back to your confession. Okay, so you confess, then you write it down. And the third step is you start declaring over that. You start speaking over that area that you want to diffuse, you want to minimize, you want to decrease it, you want to eliminate it. You want to stop doing that behavior. You want to stop manifesting that chain because it stays locked into you. Okay? And when you confess it, you give power of yourself and authority of yourself to break that chain. When you don't confess and you deceive yourself and act like it's not there, people are constantly saying, why do you act like this? Why do you do so-and-so? And you ignore it, you're keeping that chain there and you're keeping yourself from growing. That's why you're not where you want to be. Emotionally, and your heart at peace, you're not at peace because you're holding on to the chain. You have to let that go by confessing. Write it down so you can see it and you can deal with it and put the work into it. As you're putting the work into it, part of that work is confessing and declaring. It's declaring over that what you want. You're actually declaring what you want to happen. Okay? It's the same way you've declared something in the past and it's happened. You kept talking about it. Didn't it happen? Same thing. And then the last thing you want to do is you want to make sure that my fourth point I wanted to bring up was visualizing. They say Michael Jordan used to visualize before he went on the court, making shots, how he's going to perform, and look at the legacy he's left behind just by visualizing it. What I mean by visualizing is you have to see yourself performing the outcome you really want. So when I was insecure, I had to see myself not being insecure and being confident in who I was. Instead of worrying about what people thought, I had to be okay with me and had to say that to myself and see myself responding. And that meant at times being able to say no. If I could not do something, saying no and not worrying about what that person thought. So those are the things I did, and those are the things I continue to do. And when I do those four things, when I confess, when I write down and I declare, and then I visualize, I'm able to break those chains that keep us bound and keep us back. So that's what I was able to do for quite a few chains that were keeping me back with a lot of things. So that's what I normally do. That's what normally helps. And I hope this is helpful to you. I hope it helps you right in this middle of this week. There may be a chain you need to break this week, right now. You know, confess it, write it down, declare over it what you want, visualize how you want to see yourself over that situation, over that trait, over that chain that's holding you back. So do that. And stick with it until you see the results you need to see. Okay? So, you know in life, there's going to be issues. We will have trials. You will be tested. And we will go through. But you make sure you like this video and subscribe. Because you have to check in with the Soul Guru. I'm out.